Hey everyone, it's been 1 week since Disney shocked all of fandom by firing James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gunn had already completed at least one draft for the script of Guardians, judging by this tweet. And we don't know if they're going to use this script or if they were so super serious about severing ties that they're going to start from scratch. We don't even know if the movie's still going to be made. But one thing we do know, if James Gunn isn't rehired, then we will never get to see his definitive version of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gunn is so tied to these characters that he even wrote their dialogue in Infinity War.
Let's talk about this plan of yours. I think it's good, except it sucks.
So we're going to go through all the dangling character threads that Gunn never got the chance to answer. Number 1, the resolution of Peter and Gomorrah's relationship. The last time we saw Peter and most of his fellow Guardians, they were fading away like so much dust in the wind. Gomorrah was dead at the bottom of a cliff, unless of course she wasn't, but let's assume that the original team was all returning for Volume 3. Peter and Gomorrah were in a relationship, and Gomorrah has even learned how to dance a little bit. But the running theme of the Guardians franchise has been family.
We're family.
We've seen Groot become a surrogate child to the group, and James Gunn revealed that Groot's last words were actually Dad. I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm not, oh. So, were Peter and Gomorrah going to have a family? I think the series would have ended with the two of them having a baby and settling down somewhere, perhaps on Earth. Which brings us to number 2, Peter's unresolved grief issues. Peter has never fully coped with his mother's death. He fled her deathbed and then spent the next 3 decades off playing space pirates.
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Guys?
The real tragedy here is Peter's grandfather, a decent, sweet man who lost his daughter and grandson on the same day. For all Grandpa knows, Peter was kidnapped and killed and he's dead in a Walmart parking lot somewhere. I would have loved to have seen Peter return to Earth and introduce his new family to his old one. He could have revisited his mother's grave and the franchise would come full circle. But I guess that's not going to happen because they fired James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Another unresolved relationship is number 3, Drax and Mantis. Yes, Drax repeatedly tells Mantis how he really feels about her.
I am hideous?
You are horrifying to look at, yes.
But the two do have a connection. Drax began the series seeking revenge for the death of his family, only to find a new family. Assuming Thanos is killed in Avengers 4, his wife and daughter will finally be avenged, and he could finally admit his feelings for Mantis and they could maybe settle down together. Or, even better, Mantis could become an independent, better-written character. Of all the Guardians, Mantis is by far the least developed. She only had a small role in Guardians 2 and a few lines in Infinity War, and it would have been nice to have seen her more fleshed out. She's like the Kimmy Schmidt of the group, locked away by a psychopath for most of her life, and all of a sudden she's free and facing the universe. And hell, she might have even turned out to be Star-Lord's half-sister, but I guess we'll never know. But how about number 4, where the f did Rocket come from? We know, according to his official MCU bio, that he was taken by alien scientists who performed experiments on him on planet Half-World. We also know that he's not exactly cool with this.
Why didn't it have to get made?
Why would these aliens want to make a raccoon into a sentient humanoid? What possible use would that be for them? Is Rocket even from Earth, or did raccoons evolve separately on another planet? I mean, I always assumed that Rocket's creators would figure into Guardians 3 or maybe a Rocket solo film. Imagine if he got the opportunity to take revenge on them, but then he showed them mercy. It'd be a perfect way to bring his character full circle. And here's number 5, are there other Groots? In the comic books, Groots are from Planet X, and the Guardians Groot was exiled for killing one of his fellow Groots. Is that the original Groot's origin in the MCU? Because remember, teenage Groot is not technically the original Groot that we met in Guardians Volume 1. This Groot was raised by non-Groots and has no connection to his original heritage. Much like Odo was detached from other members of the Dominion, am I right? It seems like Groot might end the saga by returning to his own kind, like Mowgli at the end of the Jungle Book. Or at least he could try to reconnect with them in some way. Number 6, did Kraglin ever learn to control that arrow? Or would he have joined the team or been captain of his own Ravager ship? James Gunn's brother Sean plays Kraglin, and it's very unlikely he's going to return to the franchise. He tweeted support for his brother and took the high road, not disrespecting Disney's decision. Still, it's hard to imagine him taking a role in the film, even if they offered it. Number 7, assuming Thanos is dead after Avengers 4, who's going to fill that evil power vacuum? Thanos threatened the universe for centuries.
Thanos is the most powerful being in the universe.
And with him being gone, some new threat's going to have to arise. I don't want to get into too much fan fiction, but Adam Warlock was teased in the Guardians 2 post-credits scene. Adam is normally a hero in the comics, but he did do a heel turn in an alternate timeline where he founded a brutal regime called the Universal Church of Truth. Would he have been the villain of Guardians 3? Maybe. Who the fuck knows? Number 8, what happened to the Xandarians? The last time we saw planet Xandar, everything was going great. Marvin Gaye was on the radio, John C. Reilly hugged his family, and Nova Prime had a smug grin on her face. But in Infinity War, Thor tells the Guardians that Thanos destroyed Xandar, or at least half of it.
I have a family.
Since their first mission was saving the planet, they would want to know if there were any survivors. There's also rumors that there's going to be a Nova movie in Phase 4, and since Nova is a member of the Nova Corps from Xandar, it's likely that we'll see the destruction at the beginning of that film. But the Guardians risked their lives to save Xandar, and it feels wrong that we never got to see this resolved. But that brings me to number 9. Who else was going to join the team? Guardians 1 teased longtime member Cosmo the Space Dog and his rivalry with Rocket. The original Guardians team was also teased in one of the post-credit scenes of Volume 2, so maybe we would have seen these two teams cross over. Or would a space-traveling Avenger like Captain Marvel or Thor start bunking the Milano? If Taika Waititi takes over from James Gunn, maybe they'll rebrand and call the whole thing as Guardians of the Galaxy. And finally, number 10, what would have been on Awesome Mix Volume 3? You can't overstate how important pop music is to the Guardians franchise. Ever since the first trailer, James Gunn used pop music to ground these weird celestial events in our reality. The soundtrack is essentially a mixtape of Gunn's most favorite songs from the 70s and 80s, and no one will be able to pick these tracks quite like him. But the repercussions from the firing are bigger than just one movie. James Gunn was set to oversee a bevy of cosmic Marvel films, similar to how Joss Whedon oversaw all the projects in Marvel Phase 2. Now, who knows? We're all waiting to hear what's next. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.